in foreign countries, ma'am, when you see them passport bros leading through the crowd with their beer belly and bald heads and colorful ugly shirts, this is how they live in America. This is it. This is what they come home to after you feed them arroz con pollo. This is what they coming home to. Okay. I sprinkle. Okay. This is what they coming home to, baby. Remember that.
Hello YouTube, it's your boy, the Passport Bro Wingman, coming at you again with another YouTube video. And the title of this video is called Passport Bros, Y'all are all beer-bellied, bald-headed men who live in squalor, says Big Shirley. And as you can see from the clip, there's a woman who put out a video basically doing a lot of name calling towards the Passport Bros. And what she tried to do in her video was she tried to show it I guess a low income apartment in the United States. And she tried to display that to all the foreign women across the world that are watching TikTok and know about the Passport Bros. And in her mind, trying to give them a heads up on this is what the Passport Bros will bring you back to when you come back to the United States. And she thinks by showing them the type of apartment that in her mind some of the Passport Bros live in, the woman will see that and say, ugh, I don't want to live in that. I can't live in that. I don't want to deal with these Passport Bros, and they'll turn around the other way. Or her mind, they'll call the Passport Bros out and say that you guys are not really that rich. This lady showed me the type of apartments you're living in. Why would I want to move there? That kind of thing. And there's so many misconceptions that this woman has about the women in other countries. Also the conditions, also the infrastructure, also the reason why United States is richer than some of these other countries. She didn't do research on any of this stuff. She's coming from a completely American woman mind state of, I don't find these men, her mind, I don't find these men attractive. Why would other women find them attractive? I see the apartments that these men live in. That's not very glorious. I don't want to live in that. In her mind, she's looking at Housewives of Atlanta, and she's seeing like the lavish houses they live in. I think there's a show on I think it's TLC where the guy that's like it's called like My Lottery. I'm paraphrasing. It's something like My Lottery Dream House or something like that. And there's this guy, he goes around and he shows all these different luxury households that people who won the lottery are buying, that kind of thing. So in her mind, she's looking at that and saying that that's a glorious lifestyle. That's what she wants her man to bring her. And she's thinking in her mind, all the women across the globe, they kind of think like this. So if I can show these foreign women that these Passport Bros don't live in those types of houses, they're not going to look at them as a good deal. They're going to turn them down. And those men are going to come back and not, and going to fail at their attempts to find a foreign wife. And nothing can be further from the truth. She has not done any of her research. So I'm going to break this down, debunk a lot of stuff she said, show her how stupid her hypothesis is, because she really didn't do a lot of deep thinking about this. So, and I know that she's not, and put it this way, I'm not really offended because this is kind of the same stuff. And to me, it's kind of entertaining in a way, just to kind of debunk a lot of this stuff anyway. So I'm not bothered by it, or anything she's saying is not going to affect us at all. And I'm going to show you why in a second. So anyway, let's get into this. So first off, first thing she showed you was the condition that the quote unquote Passport Bros live in. So let's just assume the worst. Let's assume that most of us Passport Bros, we do live in that apartment she's shown. And if you look at it, the apartment she's shown, it was more of like a lower end type of household, maybe lower middle class. You got the, lounging chair, you got, television there on the nightstand, and it kind of looked like in the background, like maybe there's a PlayStation there. Far back, there's a little bar area where like people can eat food and that kind of thing. And so in her mind, it's not very impressive. So I agree, it's not that impressive. That it's kind of very basic. And while that is true, what she didn't consider was if that's the infrastructure here in the United States, she's assuming that that same infrastructure is also in foreign countries as well. And that's just not true. I mean, in many countries, and I'm actually going to show you, in many countries, a lot of times in a one bedroom house, you may have a family of five. They're all living there. They all sleep in the same bed. And the spacing is very, very small. They probably don't even have the little bar area that you see in in the photo that she has showed you. They probably don't even have that. Some of them don't even have a TV. They do have a TV. They might not even have a entertainment stand for it. And some of them might not even have that lounge chair. They might just have a very basic fold up chair, and a lot of times they're happy with that. To anyone who's been in like to Thailand or the Philippines, a lot of times when you know walk through the streets and you see the girls that give the massages, if you notice, a lot of times they're not in any expensive lounge chairs. It's really just what like a fold up chair, that kind of thing. Um, so that being said, she's assuming that they are all coming from these luxurious backgrounds where it will be so luxurious that when they look at something like the picture you showed them, they'll be disgusted. But here's a clip from 90 Day Fiance. There's a guy named Big Ed. He went to the Philippines and he was dating a woman named Rose, who's from the Philippines. She's a single mother. But I want you to look at, I'm going to show you to you. I want you to look at, he spent the night with her to try to, you know, bond with her and her father. I want you to look at the type of housing that they were living in. Now, let me say this to any, I guess, any Filipinas and Filipinos watching. Obviously, me and you both know everybody does not live in these conditions. I'm not saying that all Filipinos live in this type of condition. And I'm not saying, and this is not to say, yeah, that's basically what I want to say. And I'm saying that to say this: there's poverty everywhere. Even in the United States, we have Skid Row. You have people living in tents, that kind of thing. The difference is in these other countries, like the Philippines, Thailand, there's more poverty there. And most people are kind of more accustomed to like basic living, basic standards, basic infrastructure. And if anything else, even if they don't live in these conditions, they have family members that do, and they visit these family members all the time. So they know what poverty looks like, and that's why I say a lot of times the people in the United States are very, very spoiled. We claim, you know, even though I don't want to belittle poverty and being poor, but our form of poor and poverty is nothing like it is in these other countries, especially South America, East Asia. And I'm going to give you a glimpse of it. I just want you to look at it. I want you to look at the housing there, and then I want you to look back at the housing that that woman had displayed. And you tell me if the women, after even, and again, we all agree that's a basic infrastructure type of apartment for someone in the United States. But still, in spite of that, I want you to ask yourself, after looking at these two different housings, which one would you rather live in? And then I'll give you an answer to why, even though that lady displayed that, that's not going to do anything to the women you displayed it to, because you have no idea the infrastructure in these other countries. And you know you will be surprised. Even in places in Mexico, there are people who live in houses, houses made of like sand, like I'm not gonna call them sand houses, but mud. They live in houses made of mud. It looks very nice, very very put together houses, but they're made of mud. So what I'm trying to say is people are not living in the same type of infrastructure as they are in the United States. So without further ado, let me show you Exhibit A. And here we go here. So that's play the clip. I just want to show you. This is Big Ed. He's right now spending the night at Rose's house. And this is fair use. And I just want everyone to take a look at this.
Don't be mad at me, though.
A little bit.
Look at the walls.
If I got a hotel room, would you come and stay?
You see, he wants to leave. And that's only the little clip they show you. I'm gonna show you more. So let's go to. So let me see. Here's a better part. So anyway, this is after they get up. They're going to go take a shower. So here's the other thing the lady didn't talk about. One of the privileges of being in the United States is you have not only running water, but you have hot running water, which means you can turn on the nozzle and obviously, you know, you can warm it up. You can take warm baths. In other countries, this is not always the case. It's kind of a privilege to have air conditioning. It's a privilege to have, you know, hot water heaters. It's a privilege to have even a heater. To anyone who's been in the Bogota area in Colombia, I challenge you to find a hotel that actually has heat, because it gets cold at nighttime. You're going to find out that majority of the hotels, not homes, hotels do not have it. because it's a little bit more of a luxury. You have to really specifically ask for it. Only United States do we have the privilege of, when you go to a hotel, you expect there to be heat, you expect there to be air conditioning. This is not always the case in other countries, even in the hotels. But let's take a look at after they get up and they're about to go bathe. I want to show you this.
I kind
Good morning, Pa.
Look at the walls.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Look at the
Okay.
walls.
Rose's father doesn't live here, but he decided.
Okay, let me, because I don't want to get the, because there's music in the background. I don't want it to mess up anything. So let's go a little further. And this is them taking a bath. We'll go here. As you can see, they have a bucket they fill full of water. They're using cups to bathe one another. And they generally do this every day. And it's, the whole family gets together and they've kind of done this. Now, again, all Filipinos and Filipinas don't do this, but there is a section of poverty where this is done. So you can so just looking at this background now, I want you to look at this living room and then look at the living room of that woman. Look at the living room that Big Shirley has showed us. Look at the living room she showed us. Which of these do you think me, you, and these and both Rose and their father, which of the and Big Ed, which of those apartments would you rather live in? That's just if you want to be honest about it, we're gonna shoot straight. You know, so
Okay, what do we do?
and I'm trying to keep it short because I don't want the copyright thing to come up. And I'm not going to show you the full thing, but I'm just going to show you a little clip. So anyway, you see this little at 3:47. I'm not going to show it because it's kind of disgusting. But there is I'm just going to call it a rat running around in this this apartment here, because in this apartment there are certain, like, the walls are not completely covered. They've used things such as I don't know if you saw in the beginning part, but there was like music album covers they put together to cover the wall. So what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of holes and cracks in the apartment where not just, well, you know, pests can pretty much get into your apartment. So again, you have a good percentage of people living like this, not just in the Philippines, but in South America, in Africa, Eastern Europe. So when you ask yourselves, would you rather live in here, or you remember that cozy, you see how cozy that basic income apartment she showed you looks now in comparison? You see how privileged Americans are? Well, we can look at that cozy, according to the world standards, apartment, look at it and say it's trash, it's ghetto, it's low class. When it has carpeting, there's not pests running around, television on a stand, there's a stand in the back to make food, and more than likely that's an apartment that has probably, it might even have multiple bedrooms where each person has their own bedroom. Rose had to sleep in the same room as Ed and also her father. They all had to share that one small bedroom. But the apartment that Big Shirley showed you, it might even have two different bedrooms where you have your own bedroom. And she's shown that to think that Rose is going to be disgusted by that. Rose is not disgusted about it at all. Rose could see that the same way we see this now, as a privilege. So so for her to show that and think that the foreign women are looking at that and they're disgusted, not quite, obviously not. That is in comparison where they're living at now, it is a huge come up. That's a huge come up. And by the way, let me show you something else that came out about the Philippines recently. So this is an article by the Manila Times, and it said poor Filipinos will be poorer in 2023. And I'm just going to read through a little quickly. And actually, this is one of those articles you got to pay for, but it left enough where you can kind of get a gist of what it's about. So year 2023 is upon us, and while many wish there will be a positive change for most Filipinos, sadly, it will not be so, as the rich continue to grow immensely richer and the poor poorer, according to a poverty survey of more than 15 million Filipinos carried out by the Department of Social Welfare Development. And let's see, the strong resilience of the Filipino character will continue to help them endure the growing hardship as the cost of survival increases, poverty increases. This is validated by the most recent survey carried out by the government itself. According to the survey, there were over 5.6 million Filipino families living in dire poverty in 2022. Considering the size of the average Filipino family of 6 persons, this translates to at least 33 million Filipinos living in perennial poverty with little hope for a brighter, better 2023. This, they say, is almost 30% of the 111 million total Philippine population. This is to say that 3 out of every 10 Filipinos are poor and hungry. And here's another article just to show you by the way that supported it. This is more Filipinos stay in poverty in 2023. I'm not going to read through the whole thing because I want to keep the video long, but if you want to check this out, this is part of Fieldstar.com business section. And it just talked about how the government has tried several different tactics to help with this poverty, such as more than 90% of those who remain in poverty are expected to come from Indonesia, the Philippines, and Myanmar. And the only country where the number of people will increase in 2021, unless progressive policies are implemented, inequality will increase and the pace of poverty reduction will decline. And it stated several things, like the government tried several different tactics, but the growth there is not, it's just not really, really good. So what I'm trying to show you is that this is not a diss towards the Philippines or the Filipinos or Filipinas at all. But what I am just trying to show you is that she's trying to show, basically trying to say that that passport bros live in squalor, that we're just these poor people that have nothing going for us. And as someone has stated, like, even our poor United States, in comparison to other countries, we still are well off in comparison. That's what I'm trying to show you here. So that's why, even though you're saying that, that's why even in the United States, a guy who works at McDonald's making probably about $12 an hour, that guy will be what's the word? Highly sought after in the Philippines. Because think about the fact that McDonald's, a company such as McDonald's, even Walmart, these are steady companies that are not going anywhere for a long time. These are very steady companies that are not going anywhere for a long time, which means that guy will have a steady job, steady income coming in. And according to, I think in the Philippines, as long as you make over 14,000 per year, you're almost considered rich for the most part. So that guy with that type of salary, which probably is only coming to about, if you're making about $12 an hour, let's just say about 25,000 to 30,000 a year. That, if you were to find a remote job making that much, you pretty much living like a king in the Philippines, which is why a lot of guys retire. When they retire, they just go straight to the Philippines and live there because cost of living is so much better. Because as I was just showing you, the economy there is not that great. So the apartments, everything there, they can't charge these people these high rates, so they have to be reasonable. So with us coming there with our American dollar, I mean, it's just the perfect storm for us. I'm not, trying to say anything, but I'm just saying that it kind of works out for us. And that's why a lot of women, they know you're American, they know your American dollar is very strong there. And as I said before, keep in mind that a lot of the world has been dollarized, in which you have to buy a lot of things in American dollars. As a result of that, a lot of countries are willing to pick up our debt. So as a result of that, we're able to give out, lots of people can finance a lot of things in the United States. And because our military is across the globe and we have such a strong military, we're considered a very good safe haven. So a lot of people want to invest in us, pick up our debt, like our bonds and that kind of thing. As a result, we have a very strong dollar, have a very strong economy. And a lot of jobs, while there is poverty and while we do have somewhat of a recession, as I said before, it is nowhere on the level it is in these other countries. I wanted to say to an extent where United States, if we have a cold, these other countries have the flu. That's what I'm trying to say. So it is bad here, but it's a whole lot worse in those other countries, which is why when they see passport bros, and not only passport bros who are coming over there, we're not over there trying to take advantage of the women. We're actually trying to wife up these women, because in those countries, especially like I said in the Philippines, divorce is illegal. A lot of guys don't want to just go ahead and just marry the first woman they see. They want to kind of, sow their wild oats, date several different women. So a lot of times they're not really looking to just go ahead and get married. There's a thing called shoot and scoop. They just kind of like the American version. It's kind of like the Filipino version of the American pump and dump. So they have their own version of that. So, but the thing is, a lot of times when pastor bros are coming over to the Philippines, they're looking for wives, and the women they like that because they want somebody who's going to settle down and marry them. And a lot of guys there, they either don't have the finances to really get married, or they don't want to get married. They want to do their own MGTOW thing. They're worried about being stuck in a like a dead end sexless marriage, because I believe to some degree, I believe adultery there, you can be sued. I believe, someone correct me if I'm incorrect, but I believe I was reading something to the fact of where there may even be like somewhat of like charges for adultery there. So a lot of times guys are not really trying to get into some type of union like that. So they just kind of want to, like I said, unfortunately, not really a lot are not really necessarily looking for marriage, but the passport roles are, which is why it's like it's the perfect match. A lot of passport roles, unfortunately, we come from the West where we're kind of starved for affection and attention, and we're just looking for someone to settle down with. And it just works out that the Filipinos are like the perfect fit, in which they're actually looking for husbands. They want someone to settle down with them. They want someone to kind of help them out of their situation. And in many cases, we may be like, hate to say it, like their only real edge to kind of get ahead. Not to say that they don't have people there who are like middle class doing really well. Of course, they have those people there, but it's nowhere on the scale that it is in the United States. The amount of opportunities there is nowhere like it is in the United States. So keep that in mind, that when we come there, we rest. Why people keep thinking we're taking advantage of them is really the opposite in many cases, where they're taking advantage of us, because in many cases we're coming in there and we're not only helping them. A lot of times, wind up helping out some of the family. In addition to that, we're like because they might not make as much there, we're taking care of like the finances there. We're providing them with like food, clothing, that kind of thing. And keeping in mind also the process of bringing them back to the United States, you got to pay the lawyers. It's going to be a little bit costly. So we're taking a lot of risk by doing this as well. And the fact that a lot of us also have our own finances, have built up our own wealth, and we might not want to take a risk and do the whole, marriage in the States type thing. So some guys would prefer just get married overseas to avoid a lot of the issues with the divorce courts in the United States. So we take a lot of risks as well. So that's that. And I just kind of want to talk, and I just want to show a little graph sometimes I take a look at, which is pretty interesting. So there's this site called statistics.cpl.org, or you can just put in CPL stat into like to Google, click on English, and pretty much what you have here is all the different countries in South America. It'll tell you about their poverty rates. It'll tell you what sectors hire the most people. And I'm just going to show you one really quickly because I don't want to keep this video long, but I'll just show you, like, for example, Colombia. In Colombia, let's see. Not only do you have the literacy rates, which you see like 98% for men, 99% for women, which they keep trying to say that these women are uneducated, but you can clearly see here very high literacy rate. Let's go down to the economics. In Colombia, 13% are unemployed. You might say, well, doesn't seem that high, but keep in mind that the urban population that's employed in the low productivity sectors of the labor market. In other words, 55%, as I've been stating in my other videos, they're part of the labor market, such as like Uber, like the street vendors, people that might be like on a corner. You might see them at the stoplight. They're like selling things like, flowers, that kind of thing. That's 55% of their of the labor market are these type of jobs. And the thing is, with these jobs, they don't guarantee income. During COVID, a lot of these people went somewhat into poverty. There wasn't a lot of foreigners there. There wasn't a lot of business going on. And a lot of times, people in Colombia, they're traveling from city to city. A lot of times to get away from like the gang violence. There's still some wars going on there. There's a group called, I believe it's NARC, that's there, that at one point was kind of going back and forth with the government there. So as a result of that, you have a lot of people going from city to city, which means they're not really contributing to like what do you call it, like their like Social Security, like government programs, that kind of thing. So a lot of times they don't really have government programs to lean back on when things like COVID happened, because they didn't really pay taxes to put their money into like the system. it leaves very little room for like welfare type programs. As I've been stating before, America is a huge welfare type country. So as a result, Miss Shirley has grown up in a very spoiled environment when she thinks she's just entitled to that. Even that room she showed you, you see how she has such contempt for it. Whereas people from like Colombia, the Philippines, Brazil, some of these other countries, they would love to live into an apartment like that. In comparison to some of the conditions that they have unfortunately had to live in, they would love to live in an apartment like that. That is such like a come up for them. But to her and to a lot of the spoiled Americans, not just women, some men as well, we look at that with contempt. We stick our nose up at it, thinking that ain't nothing. And that's why women like her are going to keep losing, because there's a lot of she just has no idea. She has no idea how spoiled and privileged she is. Now I'm not saying that I necessarily now obviously again, to take a trip to the Philippines, you're talking about $1,000. That costs money, and that's just for the plane trip. And some guys are doing like first class and that kind of thing. So you're talking lots and lots and lots of money. So pastor bros have money. So a lot of us are not living in that type of apartment. I don't live in that type of apartment. My apartment is very nice. I live now. I actually moved recently. I moved to more like the Orlando area. Very nice apartment. Middle upper class type of apartment. Very, very nice. I'll leave it at that. But what I'm trying to say is a lot of pastor bros, these are like in order to travel, you pretty much have your finances in order. I'm going to put it that way. I'm going to leave it at that. Majority of us are not living in the type of apartment that she showed, living in much better apartments than that. Even to the few pastor bros that may be living in something similar to that, I want you to know I don't look down on that. At one point, I wasn't making the money I was making too. At one point, I did live in an apartment like that when I was getting out of college. I was just starting off work. I used to be a teacher at one point. I only had a small salary, $40K. Now I'm more like in the IT space, making well over 100K, well over 100K. So I've been in situations like that where she's showing that apartment, but most pastor bros don't even live in that. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. I don't want to keep this video too long, but you guys let me know what you think in the comments. Definitely, please hit that thumbs up. It helps the algorithm. Hit the notification bell so you know when my next video is coming out. I got a lot of good content I want to put out. Please subscribe to my channel. I saw a lot of people viewing the videos, but no one is subscribing. Please subscribe if you can. And until next time, this is your boy, the Passport Bro Wingman, signing off.
Dear Passport Boys, dear Passport Bros, stop calling yourself Passport Boys and Passport Bros. Are you going to the Philippines to look for a Filipina queen or what? So stop calling yourself Passport Boys and Passport Bros. Start calling yourself Passport Kings.